Welcome back. France isn't done with us. Week 2 shifts the altitude. Less posing, more substance. From Paris to the snowy peaks, no repetition. Grab your snacks and hold on. Joe's driving. Paris doesn't ease you in. It clocks you immediately. Like you've walked onto a stage 5 minutes late and everyone already knows your name and your outfit budget. This city wasn't built. It was composed, designed to be seen, judged, desired, and remembered. Preferably while you're underdressed and holding a coffee you absolutely overpaid for. Joe tried to arrive casually. Paris responded with a look from a waiter that shaved 3 points off his confidence.
Paris is one of the rare cities that was intentionally engineered to be symbolic. The streets aren't random. They align with monuments, power centers, and sightlines meant to reinforce authority. It's urban planning as persuasion. When you walk here, you're not wandering. You're participating in a system that's been refining itself for centuries. Also, yes, I did try to wander intuitively. Paris corrected me immediately.
This is where Paris begins. Not romantic Paris, not Café Paris, authoritative Paris. The Ile de la Cité is where royal power, law, and religion stacked themselves long before Paris had opinions. The air smells like damp stone and river water. Bells echo longer than expected, and your voice lowers without permission. Joe got quieter here. The kind of quiet that means something actually got through.
Historically, this island was the political and spiritual heart of France. Before Paris entertained, it governed. This was about legitimacy, continuity, and control. Everything here reminds you that Paris didn't grow playful. It grew powerful first. You don't feel inspired here, you feel instructed.
Notre-Dame doesn't flirt. It doesn't charm. It corrects. Built starting in 1163, everything about it is vertical, heavy, and instructional. It's designed to make you feel small so civilization feels enormous. After the fire and its reopening in 2024, it didn't soften. It sharpened. Joe said, "It's intense." Yes, darling, that's the assignment.
Gothic architecture wasn't about beauty for beauty's sake. It was about moral gravity, the height, the darkness, the scale. All of it trained people to think in centuries instead of moments. Notre-Dame isn't emotional, it's disciplinary. You leave understanding exactly how long power was intended to last.
Here's what people miss about the Louvre. It was never meant to be welcoming. It was a palace first. And when the monarchy fell, France didn't destroy it. It rebranded it. Kings out, culture in. Joe tried to just pop in. We emerged 3 hours later with sore feet and a shared understanding that art has limits.
The Louvre becoming a museum in 1793 was revolutionary in a very French way. Power wasn't abolished, it was reassigned. Art became the new authority. Culture replaced monarchy as legitimacy. The glass pyramid isn't rebellion, it's Paris saying, we'll modernize, but only if we're in charge of how.
Parisian leisure is supervised. The Tuileries garden teaches you how to relax properly. Chairs face outward so you observe others. Movement is slow. Presence is deliberate. Joe leaned back and said, "This is peaceful." I reminded him he was reclining in a former royal power corridor. He sat up immediately.
These gardens weren't designed for escape. They were designed for display. Relaxation here is public, measured, and aware. You don't disappear into Paris. You exist inside it, carefully framed. Even rest is part of the performance.
The Champs-Élysées was built for spectacle. Parades, revolutions, victory marches. Today it's less about taste and more about symbolism. Paris performing itself for the world. And then there's the Arc. Traffic roars. People pause anyway. Joe went silent here, which means the Arc did its job.
The Arc de Triomphe holds two truths at once. Glory carved in stone, grief beneath it. The tomb of the unknown soldier. Power remembered without sentimentality. Paris never lets you forget what it cost.
Paris does not do casual luxury. La Tour d'Argent has been ritualizing indulgence since 1582. Their pressed duck was historically numbered. Yes, numbered. The Hotel Georges V is modern power disguised as hospitality. Joe whispered, "I feel underqualified." Correct response.
Luxury here isn't about comfort, it's about continuity, precision, ritual, expectation. Paris doesn't impress you, it expects you to already understand the rules, and quietly judges whether you do.
Parisian cafes are not about caffeine, they're about visibility. Café de Flore wasn't a hangout, it was a stage. Sartre, Beauvoir, Camus, Picasso, thinking in public. Joe ordered the hot chocolate and said, "This feels serious." It is. It's existential cocoa, because in Paris, even hot chocolate has an opinion.
Ideas here weren't hidden in studies. They were performed at tables. Conversation was theater. Visibility mattered as much as thought. Paris made intellect social.
Paris loosens at night, but never collapses. Montmartre rises. Sacré-Cœur glows. Below, laughter spills downstairs. Neon flickers. Music overlaps. Pigalle doesn't shock anymore. It performs. Joe tried to whisper something profound and got laughed at by a dancer. Paris corrected him gently.
Night here isn't rebellion. It's permission, movement, color, excess, all choreographed. Paris doesn't lose control after dark. It simply changes tempo. Burgundy, Franche-Comté, Besançon. We started the day feeling very confident. By mid-morning, we were gently stuck. Not dramatic, not distress call stuck. Just the kind where you stop moving and quietly rethink your steering choices. And that's when it clicked. These canals, the locks, the markets, the fortified cities, they weren't built for tourists. They were built for power, for trade, for control. And we were floating straight through that history. They handed us the keys to a self-drive barge. No captain, no crew, just a short safety briefing and a cheerful, "You'll be fine." To be fair, the boats are designed that way. Low speed, stable hull, responsive steering, forgiving, because canals, they're not lakes, they're engineered corridors. We eased forward, tree-lined banks, roots holding the soil in place for centuries. Beyond them, vineyard rows climbing the hills in neat geometry. Nothing in Burgundy is random. Those slopes were studied, soil, drainage, sun angles, generation after generation refining Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. The engine hummed softly, conversation lowered. Water does that. It recalibrates you. Sarah looked around and said quietly, "This feels peaceful." I said, "Let's earn that." By mid-morning, we met our first manual lock. Approach speed matters. Too fast and you overcorrect. Too slow and you drift sideways like you've lost conviction. One of us stepped ashore with the line. Bow secured, stern secured, the gates closed, the chamber filled. And suddenly we were rising, lifted by a system perfected in the 18th and 19th centuries, long before railways moved goods across France. The first lock, slight chaos. A brief rope confusion, a small bump that sounded louder than it was. A very quick, yes, that was intentional. But by the third lock, something shifted. Communication sharpened, movement synced, less stress, more rhythm. It's not strength, it's timing, Sarah grinned.
We're basically professionals now.
Let's survive lunch first. We moored just outside the historic center. Dijon once rivaled the French crown in wealth. The Dukes of Burgundy built a court powerful enough to challenge royalty. You can still feel that confidence in the architecture. Timbered houses, stone facades, civic buildings that feel deliberate. We headed to Les Halles Market, a 19th century iron-framed hall, bread still warm, pastries, Comté cheese aged in Jura mountain caves, terrines rooted in preservation traditions long before refrigeration. And here's the thing, markets like this flourished because of canals. Goods moved efficiently, regionally, reliably. We weren't just sightseeing, we were floating through economic infrastructure. Lunch back on board, compact galley, efficient. Until a passing boat created a wake and suddenly we're stabilizing a cutting board like we're defending a thesis. We moved lunch to the deck. Bread, cheese, still water. Canal travel rewards patience. As the canal widened toward the Saône River, steering felt easier, but shallow edges remain. Drift slightly off-center, and you meet sand, which is how our earlier confidence gently grounded itself. There's a very specific silence when forward motion stops. Reverse slowly, shift weight, correct, no drama. These canals were built assuming humans would make mistakes. Now, that's good engineering for you. This is boating country. Fuel docks, water refills, repair support, not flashy, just capable. We topped up tanks, adjusted our mooring technique, now significantly improved from the morning's learning experiences. From here, we entered the Canal du Rhône au Rhin, and the mood shifted. The canal narrowed, forests pressed closer, locks appeared more frequently. Historically, this region shifted between French and imperial control before becoming fully French in the 17th century. It carries that layered past. Quieter, more reserved, less ornamental than Burgundy. Sarah said, "It feels serious." I nodded. Yes, like it doesn't need applause. We tied up beside open grassland for the evening. Dinner from our Dijon provisions, simple, minimal prep. Cooking on deck, long views over still water. When movement slows, awareness sharpens. The River Doubs forms a near-perfect loop around the city. Above it rises the Vauban Citadel, 17th century military engineering under Louis XIV, built to secure France's eastern frontier. We entered beneath fortress walls, small barge, massive stone defenses. The contrast was striking. We docked, walked the old town, climbed to the Citadel viewpoint. From above, the river's full loop revealed itself. Our boat sat quietly below. So, in one day, we had navigated locks, provisioned from historic markets, cooked on board, crossed regional identities, and floated through centuries of strategy.
All right, let's be clear. The French Alps are not cute. They are commanding. And Chamonix? Chamonix is the grand entrance. This is Mont Blanc's front row, Western Europe's highest peak, 4,808 meters of unapologetic dominance, sitting above the town like it signed the architectural plans itself. This isn't a sleepy ski village with cocoa and knitted hats. This is alpine precision. Rue du Docteur Paccard is lined with polished boutiques, technical gear so tailored it looks couture, and chalets that don't creak, they pose. Then there's the Aiguille du Midi cable car. 20 minutes. You go from cafe level to glacier level drama at 3,842 meters. The air gets thinner, the views get cinematic, the temperature gets personal. Joe looked out over the glacier and said, "This feels slightly aggressive." Correct. Mountains don't seduce, they assert. Chamonix isn't charming, it's decisive. An hour west and everything shifts. Megève doesn't compete with Chamonix, it refines it. Founded as a luxury alternative to St. Moritz in the 1920s by the Rothschild family, this place was curated from birth. Cobblestone squares, timber chalets glowing like jewelry boxes, horse-drawn carriages that somehow don't feel theatrical, just inevitable. Place de l'Église at dusk feels composed, not busy, not loud, composed, designer winterwear behind glass, boutique patisseries that look sculpted instead of baked. Joe whispered, "This feels expensive." I said, "It feels inherited." Megève doesn't flash wealth, it assumes you already recognize it. Now we climb. Courchevel 1850, altitude plus exclusivity. This is part of Les Trois Vallées, the largest interconnected ski area in the world. Over 600 kilometers of pristine pistes. The snow here isn't trampled, it's maintained. The Altiport runway carved into the mountain is famous for a reason. Short, steep, and dramatic. Pilots trained specifically to land here. Joe watched a plane descend and said, "That seems unnecessary." Darling, unnecessary is the point. Panoramic terraces stretch across endless white folds of mountain. Chalets look architectural rather than cozy. Even the sunglasses seem strategic. Courchevel doesn't relax, it calibrates. Then Val d'Isère. This is where athletic performance meets curated comfort. The village keeps its 17th century stone church and traditional wood facades, but the skiing is world-class. It hosted events during the 1992 Winter Olympics. Early morning corduroy pistes look like satin ribbons laid out deliberately. Joe announced he was entering his professional ski era. 40 minutes later, he was in a thermal spa asking about eucalyptus steam cycles. Val d'Isère understands balance. Push hard, recover beautifully. Firelit lounges, family-friendly warmth, serious sport without ego. It's strong, but welcoming. And then, we descend. Annecy. Pastel houses in the Vieille-la-Ville. Canals threading through stone bridges. Lake Annecy, one of the cleanest lakes in Europe, reflecting snow peaks like glass. Golden hour here feels intentional. The promenade slows you down without asking. Joe didn't slow down. He spiraled into full scenic devotion. Phone out, angles tested, reflections analyzed like he'd discovered water for the first time. Annecy doesn't compete with altitude, it restores. After Chamonix's dominance, Megève's refinement, Courchevel's precision, and Val d'Isère's performance, this softness feels earned.
Before Paris became Paris, Lyon was already powerful. A Roman capital known as a financial engine of medieval Europe with a silk empire and a resistant stronghold with a unique culinary authority. For centuries, this was the city that mattered. And yet, people still treat it like a side trip. That might be the biggest mistake in France. So let's fix that. We start in Vieux-Lyon, one of Europe's largest Renaissance districts. Pastel facades lean toward each other like they've been sharing secrets for 500 years. Cobbled streets twist without apology. Windows are framed with carved stone that whispers wealth. By the 16th century, Lyon was the silk capital of Europe. Thousands of looms, international trade networks, serious economic muscle, and because silk doesn't appreciate rain, they built traboules, hidden passageways cutting through buildings, linking entire blocks invisibly. Efficient, ingenious. But history added another layer. During World War II, the French resistance used these same traboules to move unseen across the city, the same corridors that protected silk, protected people. That's Lyon. Elegant, but never soft. We walk down Rue Saint-Jean, the main artery. It's lively but contained. You don't power walk here, you absorb. Sarah pauses at a Renaissance doorway. "Imagine the deals made here," she says. I nod. And the arguments, probably louder. We take the funicular up to Basilique Notre-Dame de Fourvière. Yes, you can walk it, but we respect knees. Built in the late 1800s after Lyon was spared during war, the basilica was constructed as a gesture of gratitude. Locals call it the upside-down elephant. Once you see the silhouette, you understand. Inside, gold mosaics shimmer against deep blue ceilings. Marble columns stand with theatrical confidence. It's ornate, unapologetically so. But step outside, and the real revelation begins. Two rivers, the Rhône and the Saône, converge below, and suddenly the Roman decision makes sense. In 43 BC, the Romans founded Lugdunum here. Why? High ground? River access, trade control, geography creates opportunity. Opportunity creates power. Lyon had both. Just behind the basilica sit the Roman theaters, nearly 2,000 years old. Stone seating curves across the hillside. At its peak, Lugdunum was the capital of Roman Gaul. That's administrative dominance, not decorative history. Standing in that amphitheater, something clicks. Paris was still developing when Lyon was already governing. Sarah runs her hand across the stone. It doesn't feel ancient. That's because it's not preserved behind glass, I say. You're sitting where they sat. History here isn't distant, it's structural. Now, Lyon shifts tone. Because if Rome built its foundation, food built its identity. Lyon is widely considered the gastronomic capital of France, which in France is not a casual compliment. We head to Les Halles de Lyon Paul Bocuse. Bocuse wasn't just a chef, he modernized French cuisine while fiercely defending regional traditions. Inside? Cheese counters arranged like design exhibits. Saucisson hanging in disciplined symmetry. Oysters resting on crushed ice like they're posing for portraits. And the famous tarte aux pralines. Bright pink almond tart that looks cheerful and slightly dangerous. Lyonnaise cuisine grew from bouchon. Intimate restaurants once feeding silk workers and merchants. Food that was rich but honest. Canal, light dumplings and sauce. Gratin dauphinois, layered potatoes perfected, sausage with lentils. Simple, disciplined comfort. Sarah tastes the praline tart. That's bold, I nod. So was this city when it mattered most. Lyon lives between the Rhône and the Saône. Water-shaped trade, trade-shaped wealth, wealth-shaped architecture. We cross into Presqu'île, the elegant spine between the rivers. Place Bellecour opens wide, one of Europe's largest public squares. There's confidence in open space. Then Place des Terreaux, where the Bartholdi fountain rises dramatically before the city hall. It's theatrical but not arrogant. We sit for espresso, watch the rhythm. Sarah says, "It doesn't try too hard." I smile. It doesn't have to. As afternoon fades, the Rhône reflects soft gold light. Cyclists glide past. Friends gather along the water. No rush. Lyon doesn't overwhelm you. It layers itself. Roman capital, Silk Empire, Resistance Network, Culinary Authority, all within walking distance. That's rare, but deliberate. We end in a traditional bouchon lyonnais, wood tables, handwritten menus, no spotlight, just continuity. Quenelles arrive first, then gratin dauphinois, sausage with lentils, and finally, the pink praline tart returns like it knows it's the headline act. This isn't trendy dining, it's inherited cuisine. Silk workers ate here, merchants negotiated here, families still gather here. Sarah leans back. Historic, experiential, delicious, I add, and entirely walkable.
Normandy and Brittany do not sparkle, they glow. This is not Riviera, France. This is sea light, wind, stone, and history that refuses to be decorative. The coast here doesn't try to impress. It expects you to keep up, and it will outlast you if you don't. And the first thing you notice? The air feels different, sharper, saltier, almost metallic. Joe took one deep breath and said, "This smells like responsibility." Yes, exactly. Étretat rises out of the English Channel like nature decided to sculpt something theatrical and then never stopped. These white chalk cliffs were formed roughly 90 million years ago, which means they've been dramatic longer than Paris has been fashionable. The famous formations Port d'Aval, a giant natural sea arch, L'Aiguille, a needle-like rock spiking straight out of the water. From above, the coastline curves like deliberate sculpture. From below, it feels overwhelming in scale. And the beach? Pebbles. Smooth, polished stones that clatter under your feet with every wave. It's not the soft sigh of sand, it's a percussion section. In the late 19th century, Parisian society discovered this place and immediately built elegant villas along the cliffs. Writers like Guy de Maupassant retreated here. Claude Monet painted these cliffs obsessively, studying how the chalk shifted from gold to blue to silver depending on the hour. Joe tried to capture the Monet light on his phone. He now has 47 nearly identical photos and a new respect for Impressionism. And yes, this is where Normandy's culinary personality begins. Butter, cream, apples. Tarte Normande isn't subtle. It's orchard and dairy having a very confident conversation. This region does not believe in low-fat anything. And honestly, I support that. Then we move to Honfleur. Contained, intimate, almost delicate. The Vieux Bassin, the old harbor, is lined with tall, narrow houses leaning ever so slightly toward the water, as if they're checking their reflection. It's visually harmonious in a way that feels accidental, but absolutely isn't. In the 17th century, ships left from here to explore North America, including expeditions to Canada. This harbor wasn't just pretty, it was a launch point. St. Catherine's Church is one of the most fascinating details. Built by shipbuilders after the 100 Years' War, it's constructed almost entirely from wood. The interior resembles the inverted hull of a ship. Faith, built like a vessel. It remains one of the largest wooden churches in France. Joe stood inside and whispered, "This feels nautical but sacred." That's actually correct. Honfleur also seduced the Impressionists. Reflections on water, masts cutting through sky. It's living geometry. And the food? Seafood that tastes like it arrived 5 minutes ago. Mussels, oysters, scallops, buckwheat galettes. Crisp, earthy, honest, and salted butter caramel. Joe ordered it and went completely silent except for the word, "Wow," repeated with increasing intensity. Normandy doesn't need flair, it has flavor. Then the mood shifts. Oma Beach. On June 6, 1944, this stretch of sand was one of the 5 Allied landing sites during D-Day. Today it is wide, quiet, almost deceptively peaceful. The scale surprises you. The shoreline stretches farther than you expect. The bluffs behind it make the landscape feel imposing. And that physical reality adds perspective. At the Normandy American Cemetery overlooking the sea, rows of white crosses and stars of David face west, orderly. Still, precise. The wind moves softly across the grass. No theatrics, no spectacle, just dignity. Joe didn't joke here. He stood very still, and that felt appropriate. Then Brittany delivers the finale. Mont Saint-Michel rises from the tidal flats like something imagined first, then built second. According to tradition, in 708 AD, Bishop Aubert claimed the Archangel Michael instructed him to build a sanctuary on this rocky island. So he did. The structure climbs vertically, village at the base, abbey layered above, spire piercing the sky. It appears gravity resistant. And then there are the tides, one of Europe's highest tidal ranges. At high tide, the island floats. At low tide, vast sands stretch outward like an exposed stage. The transformation is constant. During the French Revolution, the abbey was used as a prison and somehow survived every political shift thrown at it, which only adds to its mystique. And yes, the omelets. La Mère Poulard made them famous in the late 19th century, whipped theatrically over open flame. Joe tried to flip his own version later. It did not survive the pan. Mont Saint-Michel feels mythic, but grounded. Salt air, stone glowing at sunset, warm food, a perfect ending.